presenting another episode from the golden days of Offshore Radio. This is All-Time Greatest Hits, a program on the voice of peace, OHR Offshore History Radio, in combination with Radio Channel 292, presenting another episode from the golden days of Offshore Radio. This is All-Time Greatest Hits, a program on the voice of peace. Feel free to send your reactions, reception reports, etc. to ohrradio@outlook.com. Again, that is ohrradio@outlook.com. Thank you. The words on the voice of peace in the station, 24 hours a day. Let's go.
Jus, son damlasına kadar lezzet.
What you've done, he can forgive you. Then we're sharing that forgiveness, and we're not stealing then from God. And so it's just so marvelous to know that we, beloved, get to keep what we give away, and we lose what we keep.
This is the BBC World Service, exploring how farmers can help solve Australia's biodiversity crisis.
34 mammals gone extinct is an atrocious record.
In a country famed for its unique wildlife and landscape, the list of endangered animals and plants is continuing to grow.
Australians really don't comprehend just how much our ecosystems have been changed.
I'm Belinda Farmer, and I'll be asking whether paying farmers to protect nature on their land will slow rates of extinction.
Farmers are business people and they understand dollars. They can now start to understand that conservation is a good value. It's actually more than a payment, it's a commitment.
But is it too little, too late?
Most people don't realise that there's still an enormous amount of land clearing going on in Australia.
You look after country, country looks after you.
Shifting Cultures continues Tuesday at 19 GMT.
Easter and Passover are among the most important religious festivals of the year for Christians and Jews. But after the Russian invasion, how will those left in Ukraine celebrate? Is it possible to still practice your beliefs when your country is at war? I'm Julia Paul of The Heart and Soul on the BBC World Service. I'm speaking to Jewish, Catholic and Orthodox Ukrainians about worshipping in a war zone. That's after the latest BBC News headlines.
BBC News at Fiona MacDonald. Ukraine's foreign minister said that the situation in the besieged port of Mariupol is dire and heartbreaking.
大自然的空曠，人搭在地山位，地山人家是人，意在地声。
各位听众大家好，欢迎收听这期的第一期活动，我是主持人吴金。今天什么个人话白了已经来用，就所以请你收听别个出红线什么，我再收听别个别开红线。
天气别霜，龙舟荡高，天气未当。
综合广播为您全新推出趣味方言节目，10分潮州话，10别九尾，时尚潮语10分掌握，10分潮州话，10分钟内学会10分的潮州话。
大不澳大别九尾，
感受潮州美食，领略潮州魅力。
别九尾了
，10分钟，继续学说潮州话。
大不澳大别九尾
，10分潮州话
，10分别九尾。
This is the Voice of Turkey's English language transmission, broadcasting from Ankara in the 49-meter band between 1830 and 1930 UTC on 5945 kHz to Europe, between 2030 and 2130 UTC in the 31-meter band on 9875 kHz to South Asia and Australia, between 2200 and 2300 UTC in the 31-meter band and on 9830 kHz to Europe, Eastern USA and Canada, and in the 25-meter band on 11660 kHz between 1630 and 1730 UTC to Afghanistan, Pakistan, India, Uzbekistan and Turkmenistan. The Voice of Turkey is also beamed between 0300 and 0400 UTC in the 41-meter band and on 7275 kHz to Europe, the USA, Eastern Canada and Cuba, between 0300 and 0400 UTC in the 49-meter band on 6165 kHz to Iraq, Syria, Iran and the Arabian Peninsula. You can listen to us over the Turksat 3A and 4A satellites and on the internet at www.trt.net.tr through the Voice of Turkey link. Please note that transmissions broadcast between 2200 and 2300 UTC and between 0300 and 0400 UTC have been pre-recorded. Our email address is englishdesk@trt.net.tr.
First, the news. Ukraine said late Friday that 918 populated areas were liberated from Russian forces.
Dr. Aurelio Picci of the Club of Rome advocated that a plague be introduced that would have the same effect as the Black Death of history on page 167.
This is the next frontier in hiring to be able to go beyond the interview, to go beyond the personality test and the IQ test.
That's all coming up on Business Daily from the BBC.
Rocking and rolling 7700 5800 and 688 6185. Go for the best frequency, and remember we will repeat the whole programming after 14:30 Central European Summertime on 7700 and 5800. Everest@everholland.nl or PO Box 27024A. Great QSL card, a hard copy, full color A5 size. Please enclose details about our programs, of course, that's important. Later on, it's Jan van Dijk, Bert van Leer, Dave Scott, and of course Mike Taylor with great 1980s songs on Everest Holland. So there's time for one more record, and then it's time for Jan van Dijk and the German service. See you later in Everest Goes the X.
This is the free radio service Holland with music and information on shortwave. Winter, spring, summer, or fall, FRS beats them all. This is FRS Holland with another hour of shortwave power.
Ladies and gentlemen, hello. This is Haji Ibrahim Sarıkaya from Voice of Turkey. Today, 20th of April 2022. You are listening to the news. Ukraine could have already ended the war launched by Russia.
Raj Collins, man. On the wolf, man. Got you.
çıktım yurtane seyredim.
The Tesla Gigafactory, which is also located in Lingang area, has also officially resumed operations, with 8,000 employees returning to their positions. Production lines for batteries and motors have reached full capacity, and vehicle assembly is also recovering.
我们会在接下来的3-4天内。This
is Radio Euro Shortwave, Radio Euro Shortwave on 5800 kHz, broadcasting to, for, and from Europe. This very evening. Thanks to Ray for the very kind mention on HF Underground.com. That's the place where shortwave people hang. That's HFUnderground.com. Thank you very much for the nice mention and the reception report. Our email address, euroshortwave@gmail.com. That's euroshortwave@gmail.com. That was an email. Tell us how we're sounding. And we play a nice tune here. How about that?
Topping the charts in Canada and making the top 20 in America, we suffered with Dana's cover version of the Eric Carmen song Never Gonna Fall in Love Again back in 1976. And one more to finish hour one of Stafford's World, and it's some reggae courtesy of Bob and Marcia.
According to Wikipedia and Variety magazine, Little Richard mentored the Beatles and was a voice coach for Paul McCartney, who was one of the lead singers of that group. Paul McCartney said it himself that Little Richard taught him everything that he knew, and said, quote, "I owe a lot of what I do to Little Richard and his style." So yeah, you have all kinds of rock artists, white and black, that have covered his music. From Jerry Lee Lewis, Buddy Holly, even Elvis Presley covered 4 of his songs and told him himself that he was, quote, "the greatest."
Narradora Modesta Cruz, con las voces de Ricardo Peralta, Juan Camil Defonso, Víctor Paredes y Juan Suárez. Realización y dirección Miguel Ángel Coleto. Documentos es una producción de Radio Nacional de España.
Russian forces have made no major gains in the last 24 hours, though, and that's according to British military intelligence speaking on Saturday. For more stories, visit voanews.com. This is VOA News. French President Emmanuel Macron is in pole position to win re-election Sunday in France's presidential runoff.
You're listening to China Africa Talk.
Jambo, ni Bridget akikuletea kipindi kinachohusiana na China na Afrika.
Vous écoutez le dialogue sino-africain avec Bridget.
Everything China, everything Africa.
Olá, você está ouvindo China Africa Talk com Bridget.
Sper că v-a plăcut muzica trupei din această seară, dar nu o să spun eu care este numele trupei, ci invitații mei, 2 invitați aflați în locații diferite și într-un oraș diferit de București, cel din care transmitem Radio România Internațional, pentru toți românii din întreaga lume.
Radio Delta AM en klik op Reception Report. Dan, Audi, everything on your radio.
Aici București, Radio România Internațional. Radio România Internațional vă prezintă Curierul Românesc.
Bun găsit, vă spun de la București, sunt Simona Băleanu și de la această oră vă invit să urmăriți o emisiune de actualitate românească cu informații despre românii din străinătate și activitățile lor.
This is the big one from Holland. You are listening to Radio Europa. If you would like to write in, you can send your reception report or your comments to Radio Delta International, maybe your music request. Always possible here. In the early morning, we always do some nice announcements from listeners, and you can make your comments, your announcements, your greetings, and you can do also your music wishes here on the Shortwave 14 meters. It's all live, and yes, we're waiting for a nice WhatsApp comment here.
Le roumain mot à mot. Dominique.
Leçon 221.
Lecția 221. Bună ziua!
Bună seara!
Bună! Bun venit!
Small villages in China, small counties in China, one of the big reasons that they were able to come out of poverty is also because this mindset of China's, of common prosperity, and recognizing that it is in the end good governance and delivering to people that is going to have long-term positive impact on entire countries. China's poverty alleviation drive. And now China has absolutely eradicated in absolute poverty. But then there's a next goal. And for many countries, that journey, that focus has been very inspiring and is helping many developing countries in the world.
Radio Vatican, France et Afrique.
Amis auditeurs, je vous souhaite la bienvenue dans cette nouvelle édition de notre programme.
Using Shortwave Alive on 3975 and 6160. You found Shortwave Radio.
That is it for this edition of The Heat. I'm Anand Naidu in Washington, D.C.
What are folks talking about in the most populous country in the world? What is it really like living in China? What does that have to do with you and the rest of the globe? Grab a seat at the round table and find out what's cracking from the hottest English discussion show coming straight out of China. Find us at Round Table China on your favorite podcast platform. We'll see you there.
Beijing Hour. The Beijing Hour. The Beijing Hour brings you an hour of comprehensive news and information from both China and the rest of the world. A mix of news, sports, and entertainment. In-depth analysis of the day's big stories, as well as the most comprehensive business of the day. The Beijing Hour. Beijing Hour. Your very own window to China and the rest of the world.
We all enter this world with a universal greeting. We then learn to speak.
Bonjour, comment allez-vous? Hoy estoy muy contenta.
Though our languages, cultures, and traditions may differ, we still share one thing in common. We we have hope for humanity and the world.
Donated an additional
German railway company Deutsche
Director
Bahn,
of the International
the 26th
Monetary
United
Fund,
Nations
Kristen
Climate.
Luna.
Hear the difference with CGTN Radio. Join our global network to connect with the world.
CGTN Radio. Hear the difference. Sideline Story brings you all things sports related. The hottest topics, latest events, juiciest stories, all with a very personal take. Subscribe to Sideline Story Podcast for heated sports discussions covering events that are happening in China and around the world.
A roundup of the main business news from China and elsewhere. This is Global Business.
Welcome to Global Business here on CGTN.